Well, I'm very excited to welcome you to Introduction to the Green Globes for Residential Buildings. This course is being presented to you by Shana Weinstein. She's a change agent in the sustainable industry, combining creative initiative with strong business skills. Shana brings ideas, stakeholders, and programs together to advance sustainability in the built environment and generate real results. She's a proven resource to the commercial and residential building professionals, including 6 years at providing industry-specific education at the Home Builders Association of the Metro Portland, Oregon. In the past decade, she's offered guidance to regional steering committees, earned a National Association Award, and developed a national award-winning conference. At Green Building Initiative, Shana designs, leads, and manages the company's marketing, public and media relations, trade shows, membership support, social media, and advertising. She holds a bachelor's degree in international studies and journalism from University of Oregon. And with that, Shana, we welcome you and take it away.
Thank you for that introduction, Brett. I really appreciate it. And welcome to everyone on the call. I'm just going to hop right in, and like Brett said, I'll look forward to getting to your questions as you have them. So please shoot them over. Oh, Brett, is this you?
Yeah, this one trips me up every time. So this course is approved for 1 hour in Continuing Ed, AIA, GBCI, Certified Green Professional, AIBD, and may be applicable to your local state-based or designed contractor license. And you guys all know who we are, so let's get started.
There we go. You guys all know why you're here, but I'm hoping during the next hour that I can give you an overview of Green Globe and how it compares to other certifications in the industry. So who is Green Building Initiative? We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission states that we are here to grow the green building pie. So whatever that looks like. Right now, that means that we use 2 credible and practical green building approaches for sustainable communities, and those are Green Globe, which is a building certification for commercial buildings, and Guiding Principles Compliance, which is a roadmap for federal agencies to meet their federal guiding principles. We are an ANSI standard developer. The current Green Globes version that is on the market right now is based off of the ANSI standard that we developed and released in 2010. We are also going through the continuous maintenance through ANSI, and ANSI stands for the American National Standards Institute. We thoroughly believe in the ANSI process because it is a consensus-based process, and it is someone that's overlooking the certification standards. So we certify buildings. It's a third-party certification on buildings, so we have our certification certified by a third party. So we believe that this shows that we are walking the walk, and that we are building standards for the industry built by the industry, and that's really important to us to provide tools that are effective. The ANSI process requires a consensus body. There are 32 members of the consensus body, and they range from users like large construction firms to government agencies like the GSA, the American Lung Association, and other standards organizations like ICC, UL, and some other big names. And they all want to be involved because having options for certification in the building realm only makes us all better. And so that's why they participate. And I think it's important, too, that we point out that our GBI Board of Directors are our members, and they serve on our board of directors as advisors to our nonprofit only. So the other great thing about the ANSI process is that it builds in a firewall. So the only way to get anything changed in the standard is through the ANSI process. And that divides our board of directors, our GBI staff, from having any influence over the standard. So we think that makes it a really credible and rigorous standard. So what is the standard? What is Green Globes? It comes from BREEAM in the UK, which was brought to Canada and then developed by Yuri Skopek into Green Globes for Canada. The Green Globes brand has certified over 4,000 buildings, but in the US, Green Building Initiative licenses Green Globes, and we have taken the US version through the ANSI process. The Canadian version has not gone through the ANSI process. So if you're familiar with BOMA-BEST or Green Globes in Canada, you will find some differences between the American version and the Canadian version. And in the U.S., we are federally recognized as equivalent to LEED in most areas. You might have seen some press releases from us in the fall of 2016. The GSA included us in their leasing provisions, and so anybody that is trying to have the GSA as a tenant can utilize the Green Globe certification tool as well as LEED. And this is true of a lot of other government agencies. And if you have any questions about which ones, let us know. An overview of how Green Globes work. This is the meat of I think what you're looking for. So we have Green Globes for new construction, which as you know is ground up construction. And then we have Green Globes for existing buildings. And we include Green Globes for existing buildings as any building that is 18 months past development. And we do that because we want the data to be normalized, and that's a big difference from the market leader. So after market normalization, that's when we use the Green Globes for existing buildings tool. And then we do have a healthcare tool, but that's the only single niche tool that we have, and I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. And then the last tool that we have for our Green Globe spectrum is sustainable interiors, and this is designed for tenant improvement and remodels. And so we do have a lot of customers that will use the new construction tool on the outside of the building and then have their tenants certify their actual spaces within sustainable interiors. The biggest difference for sustainable interiors and other interior certifications is that we only certify the space that's within your lease. So there would never be a requirement to ask for permission to upgrade things that are outside of the lease, like shared restrooms or external HVAC units and so forth. So that makes this certification really achievable for a lot more people. And this is kind of the continuum. So like I mentioned, the new construction tool is really commonly paired with our sustainable interiors. And then the ultimate hope is that people go through the existing buildings certification several years after new construction, so they can continually be updating and managing their certification and making sure that everything's staying in place and that training is going on. That's another big piece of the EB system. So what are the unique features to Green Globe? So our certification is completely online, and you can access that at any time on any device. We have no prerequisites. Instead, we have minimum requirements in each assessment area, and this allows a lot larger quantity of buildings to be able to certify that may have been excluded from other certifications. We also have a non-applicable provision, and what this means is if something in our standard does not apply to your building, not that you are choosing not to, but let's say there's a credit on cooling towers and your building does not have a cooling tower and it doesn't call for one, then we mark this as a non-applicable, and it reduces the overall denominator so that this credit is not counting against you. And because we have this non-applicable provision, that's how this is a unique standard for every building type, because things that don't qualify for your building type are removed from the denominator, and we are a percentage-based system. So this allows a lot more buildings to be able to be certified. And in addition, we have thresholds for incremental recognition. So as you see on the page, if there's a credit that's worth 3 points, but your project team has served the intent of the credit, then our assessors have the ability to give partial credit, which also allows for innovation. My favorite story about this is a building in Colorado who chose to paint their roof of their building black instead of white because they wanted to use the sun's heat instead of reflecting it. And because of their climate, that makes a lot of sense. And so after explaining that to the assessor during the on-site assessment, he did give them incremental recognition for innovation. And so this is kind of how we incorporate innovation into the Green Globe standard. We are a very high-touch customer service nonprofit because in order for us to grow the green building pie, we need to be willing to educate each other and learn from each other. And so a part of that is having someone to talk to. So you can always go on our website and use our live chat feature and talk to a member of our staff. Every building receives a account manager that is a staff at GBI that is able to answer questions and clarify anything. And each project is also assigned an assessor that will visit each building, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is a screenshot of the actual assessment that you receive at the end of a project. And so we think this brings a lot of value to any project team because it can live on. So facility operating teams can read through this and know what sustainability features the building has. But for project teams, it's helpful because it provides recommendations for future buildings as well. So a lot of people find value in this. So this is a pie chart of the niches that GBI certified last year. And you can see that multifamily was a huge part of the buildings that we certified last year. But beyond that, and I'll focus on that, but beyond that, it's a great tool for, as you can see, a lot of difficult buildings to certify, like grocery stores and hospitality and healthcare and manufacturing. And again, that's because of the non-applicables and the incremental recognition. We're able to certify any type of building. But getting into this multifamily, it's a huge growth area for us, and I'm sure it is for you, and that's why you're on the call. One of the catalysts is the Fannie Mae point reduction that was announced last year, and then that is to lower all-in interest rates on loans for multifamily properties by using green building certification. Fannie Mae has a list of green building certifications that they allow on their website, and Green Globes is one of them. And I am no expert in points and percentages, but I did just want to throw this example up there for what kinds of credit you could expect. So on a $10 million loan amortizing over 30 years, the owner would save $95,000 in interest payments over a 10-year term. So that's a significant dollar amount. Fannie Mae does not require an affordable housing portion, and so that's another reason why people do choose Fannie. Freddie Mac has a similar incentive program, but they do have an affordable housing unit requirement attached to that as well. So again, some more specifics on the Fannie Mae financing. So if you haven't looked into this and you are considering Green Globes or another certification on one of your multifamily buildings, I highly recommend looking into this. A lot of people have found value in what they are offering. So I think it's a great tool. It's a catalyst for building owners to get into the green building market. And again, that's another reason why we're huge supporters of this program, because a lot of people see certification as something that's a pain and it's expensive and it's rigid and it doesn't offer value. And so we have had a lot of new users come to us under the Fannie Mae program. And since we are small and nimble and flexible, we can expedite a certification on a building to actually certify the building between 45 and 60 days. So within this loan program, a lot of people will come to us and say, I want to use the incentive, but my building's already built. And because we offer the certification up to 18 months after occupancy for new construction, and then we can move into existing buildings after that, most of the buildings have to just do small incremental changes that can be suggested by the assessor. And with those changes, they're able to certify with Green Globes. And by kind of getting the low-hanging fruit and getting those people that haven't certified before in the past or considered it, and they see how easy the process is, but how rigorous the standard is, we've had a lot of repeat customers in the multifamily building type, whether or not they move forward with Fannie Mae financing or not. So I welcome questions about this if you think this could help you. And I took a screenshot of this and the next from the Fannie Mae website just to let you know that there's a lot more information out there. So a little bit more about Green Globes, so how we score. We have 1,000 total points. So that's where that reduction of the denominator is important. So if you don't have that cooling tower in your building, you would reduce your total points to 999, for example. And then since your minimum score, then you have a score to certify, which is a percentage, your percentage can go up because there's less applicable points. So 35% minimum score required to certify, and we have 4 levels of certification. And they look like this. So 85 to 100% will get you to that 4 Green Globes, which is our highest. And then the 1 Green Globe is 35 to 54%, which is the lowest of the 4. This is a graph of our environmental assessment areas. So as you'll see, all of the assessment areas are very familiar to you if you're familiar with building certifications. The one difference is that we have an emissions category in our new construction. And in the updated ANSI tool, these will change slightly, but for the most part, it's all stuff that you recognize. So benefits of a Green Globe certification, and I really do think these are benefits of any third-party certification, that it enhances sustainability and supports continuous improvement throughout the building service life. By having a certification, like I said, you're telling your stakeholders, the occupants of your building and your facility operators that you're committed to having a high quality and durable building. And you can help them continue that after new construction. Certifications also make it clear to design and operating teams how you can focus on sustainable outcomes. And that's, through reading through the standard, very simple. It helps reduce future energy and water operating costs, which you guys all know. But this is my favorite slide for Green Globes because we have 1,000 points and because our points are phrased as questions. When you initially go through our self-assessment, which is the first time that you'll go through our standard, it will be a self-assessment, and then that self-assessment gets sent to our assessor to verify. So basically the self-assessment is you giving Green Globes and the assessor all the information about your building. All of those points are phrased as questions. And so it really becomes more of a conversation about sustainability and about your building. And it also is a roadmap for if you have ideas that you are considering, or potentially the questions will hopefully help you think of ideas that you could implement on your building. And so we can go down the road to higher and more sustainable buildings as we all move forward with certification. Certification is obviously a great and shorthand way of showing your stakeholders and your tenants that you're committed to sustainability and their health. So those are the 5 things that certification can bring to you. What does the assessment process look like? This is a question we get a lot. So again, here's how the points are allocated in a pie chart this time. So we're heavily focused on energy and indoor environment and water. So this is the new construction certification timeline. So one of the first questions we get asked is, how does this process go? So you bring us your order, and you go through the online evaluation and what we call the self-assessment. So that's how we hope that you will do that in the design phase of a building, but again, we know that's an ideal situation, and you can start this at any time during your building's lifetime, existing buildings or construction. But ideally, in the design phase, you would go through the evaluation and assessment, and then you would collect your documents, which I'm sure you're all used to, and then you submit your design assessment to the GBI, and you give us 2 to 4 weeks. And during that time, the assessor is reviewing all the documents you gave to us. We're assigning an assessor, and then we'll get back to you with a report in 3 to 4 weeks, prepared, reviewed, and approved. So that means the assessor has looked through all of your documentation, and they have submitted it to us, the GBI, and we have looked it over for accuracy, and then we will send that to you. And then you move forward with your construction, and then you schedule your on-site assessment. So that same assessor that we assigned to you at the beginning of your project is available to you between the stage 1 and the stage 2. So between when you design the building and when you build it, you have an assessor that is available to you. You will have his phone number and his email address. And if you have any questions about the intent of a credit or how to satisfy a credit, or if you're thinking about one, how to achieve it, that assessor is on your team and is trying to help you build more sustainably if you have any questions. So during that construction time, you have people on your side. And then during the on-site assessment, the assessor, GBI flies the assessor out to your site, and you get your project team together and you sit down and go through your assessment and say, you know, did you implement these as you said you were going to, or did they change? And a lot of times our assessors are looking for more points. So asking the team questions like, did you do one thing or another, and can I see those? And a lot of times we actually get more points in that meeting. The assessors are able to find ways that project teams have found efficiencies and didn't even realize it. So we think of our assessors as more of referees than cops, than policemen on these projects. And so we see them as assets. And then we need about 4 weeks to finalize the report, assuming all the paperwork is sent to us. That report is created by the assessor. He reviews his walk through the building, offers suggestions for future improvement, and then sends it to GBI. We review it for accuracy and auditing, and then we send it to you. And then after that, we send you your plaque if you order one. We've never missed a deadline on a plaque, so if there's ever a grand opening or your tenants are moving in and you really want the plaque on the wall, just send us that date, and we've never missed a grand opening. So we're very proud of that, and we think that having the plaque on the wall when you open is a really big deal because this is a commitment from you, and people should know about it right when you need them to, when you're selling those units. So another question we get is, you know, how are you just as rigorous as other market leaders, but use less time? And this is how. So this is, if you're a first-time Green Globes user and you choose to go with our new construction, this is how many hours you can expect. We've heard that hours for the competition is upwards of 250 hours. So in comparison, these are very small numbers, and you can see that it is not too hard to get through this process. If you are a first-time user of Green Globes, we recommend using a Green Globe professional to help expedite these hours of work. And I will get into that now. So we removed the logos from this, but we have two personnel certifications. One is the Green Globe Professional, and the other is the Green Globe Assessor. So the assessor is the person that GBI assigns to visit every building and help you with your project. And the Green Globes Professional is similar to a LEED accredited professional, if you're familiar with that. So it's someone who can be hired on as a consultant, someone that is familiar with the Green Globe standard, and anybody with 5 years of experience in the industry can apply for that Green Globes Professional designation. And for the assessors, we actually have just opened that up for the first time in 5 years. We do require 5 or 10 years of experience either in being an engineer, a licensed architect, or a facility operator. And the reason that we have rigorous requirements for the Green Globes Assessor is that those are the people going out to the sites and providing recommendations, so we need to know that they know what they're talking about. But also having that experience can help plant seeds of innovation from one building to another, and we find a lot of value in that, so do our users. So those are those two certifications, and all the details about certification, the personnel certifications, can be found on our website. This is just showing you all of the people that are on your team when you use Green Globes. So like I mentioned before, you'll have an account manager with the GBI staff. You will have a Green Globes Professional if you choose to hire one, and you also have the Green Globes Assessor. And they all play a different role in helping to get your buildings more sustainable. So I have just a couple case studies for you. And this is the Heights at Linden Square. And I need to, this is in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it is a mixed-use project that incorporated green building practices into their building before they had decided to certify or not. It is 5 stories, 284,000 square feet, residential project, and it has ground floor retail. And I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is in Gladstone, Missouri. So these are just some of the features that earned this building Green Globes points. Wi-Fi enabled thermostats, exterior rain screen that encourages drainage and prevents water penetration, high efficiency lighting, occupancy sensors, Energy Star rated appliances, and then a commitment to environmentally friendly cleaning practices, and a property procurement policy about the purchase of products with recycled content. Obviously, these are just some highlights, but you can see that a lot of buildings are making these commitments before they decide to certify, and that's how we're able to get a lot of these buildings through that Fannie Mae process. It's another picture of that beautiful development. And then I just wanted to share with you something that Stephanie said. She said, we initially wanted to be as energy efficient as possible. As we completed construction and looked at the requirements, we realized that we had designed 2 Green Globe standards, and we were on a pretty tight schedule. It turned out to be a very streamlined process from start to finish. So I like that quote because a lot of buildings are building to, quote unquote, mirror LEED or mirror a Green Globe certification, or they can say we're doing all the right things, but without having a referee, I think that the sustainability features are the first ones to fall off, and so it's really important to have a third-party verification on a building, whether it be Green Globes or Energy Star or someone else. And we, as GBI, want this process to be really easy. It shouldn't have to be hard. The requirements that your building has to measure up against should be hard, but it doesn't mean that it has to be hard for you or take a lot of hours away from your project team or cost you a lot of money. And so she also said it was a very good process, and the assessor walked the building from top to bottom and was very thorough in explaining how green globes worked and why certain aspects may or may not have played a larger role in terms of certification. And so she found a lot of value in having the assessor walk around, as most of our users do, and then kind of getting context on some of the points that we have and why green globes works the way it does. And that helps a lot of people to want to do this again and constantly be improving. So the next case study I have for you is in Seattle, Washington. This is also a mixed-use building in Seattle. The Schuster Group made the Joseph Arnold Loft the first Green Globe certified residential high-rise building in Seattle, and it earned 3 Green Globes. So let's go to the next slide. So this is what Holly said about Green Globes. She's a vice president at the Schuster Group. We designed with several certification systems in mind. So again, not knowing up front which avenue to take. At the end of the design development, we committed to Green Globes. It's more efficient from a time and material standpoint, and you don't need an outside person to manage it. It's common sense at its best. And that's what we're really aiming for, is how do we develop a certification that fits in with your timeline and is not an exception to your timeline. So this unit, this building has 132 residential units, and it has about 2,200 square feet of retail. It includes bicycle parking, 70 below-grade parking stalls, and electric vehicle charging stations, and all the other amenities that you would expect from a high-end building, fitness center, boardroom, and so forth. But this building also includes a community garden, which I'm still trying to get a picture of, but again, designed with green building in mind, and then went with Green Globes. So I actually think I skipped a slide here. So here are some of the features that Joseph Arnold Loft used to earn points in Green Globes. The 35% of impervious surfaces, sub-metering, a VRF system, low maintenance materials and life cycle assessments were performed. That's a great way to get credits within Green Globes. And then the use of environmentally preferable refrigerants and so forth. So as you can see, a lot of these are things you might already be doing. Beautiful property. So this is our website, and I bring this up because you can see our building profile directory. It's very easy to find. We try and get a new case study up once a month, so you can check back here and find more case studies like the 2 that I've just shown you. They will be up very shortly, in fact. And another piece of our mission being to bring more people into the green building tent is that all of our resources are free. So the ANSI standard and the ANSI process is free, and so are all of our resources. So all of our technical manuals are free. There's no fee for those. You can check those out online anytime. We have white papers. You can even see at the bottom of the screen the Green Globes for new construction pre-assessment checklist, so you can get an idea of what your rating would be before you even start. And I see a question that can this program be applied to small commercial, office, and retail buildings? Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I wanted to get to those and bundle those together, if that's all right at the end, Shana. But thanks for taking initiative there.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. I'll address that later. I'm just wrapping up here. So again, we just want to train everybody that wants to be trained and bring more people into green building and make certification less expensive. And change that reputation. So all of our resources are free online, and if there's something you're looking for and you don't see it on our website, you can reach out to anyone on the GBI staff and we can help you. So again, our white papers that we put out will always be free. And so this is how you get a hold of us, and that's our website. So maybe we can get into those questions. Brett?
Yeah, thanks, Shana. Definitely got through quite a bit ahead of schedule here, so that's great. We might be able to get away a little bit early, but definitely have a lot of time for questions. I know I have several questions, and so right before we get to those, I just want to remind everybody, for those of you looking for continuing ed, um, please take the survey at the end of this session, or the one that gets emailed out to you. Just take one of them. It's the same survey. And then you'll have all your reporting instructions there. For those of you watching this in the future on demand, please take your 10-question quiz with an 80% passing rate. And as we're waiting for more questions to come in, I just got to say a huge thanks to all of our sponsors who allow us to do what we do. Sun Intuitive Self-Tinting Glass, Niagara Conservation with some of the lowest flowing toilets on the galaxy, the Serve, Build Equinox, Panasonic bath fan ventilations, and CertainTeed Air Renew for formaldehyde eating drywall. Big thanks to them, and thanks to our members, our board of directors, our volunteers. We couldn't do it without them, and we couldn't do it without you, our listeners. So, yeah, so a couple questions coming in specifically in regards to what kind of structures are allowed. And I wanted to ask those questions and then add a little bit to it, and hopefully it kind of all ties together. But again, the specific questions here are looking at, just kind of re-verifying what types of buildings this can be applied to. And then the other question that I really liked is, in mixed use, how does Green Globes determine the project boundary? Is it just residential units, or is it retail, or both? And I wanted to add to that a little bit because I wanted to see what your thoughts were on how Green Globes works with Energy Star certification, if there's any sort of connection there. Because if you're going for Energy Star in multifamily housing, there are some different rules you follow depending on whether you have centralized or decentralized systems and whether you're 5 stories or more. So just kind of throwing that all out there, maybe you can talk a little bit about, just remind us of the applicable buildings, and then how that ties into mixed-use projects and Energy Star high-rise and low-rise programs.
Yes, I will try to answer all of those questions, but you might have to remind me of one or two. So the first question that you asked, or I guess the last question you asked, how does it apply to multiple building types? We certify any type of building. So if that means a grocery store, a data center, commercial, office space, retail buildings, whatever it is, if it has occupants, we will certify that. And so if you have any specific building type questions, feel free to shoot us an email. And then your boundary question in Energy Star. So we actually, since everything that we do is online, you can pair your Green Globes user interface online with your Energy Star. So you just assign us as one of the people on your team through Energy Star, and it automatically uploads everything to your Green Globe assessment. So we do pair with Energy Star. I'm not as familiar with the mechanics about the 5-story minimum. We don't have a 5-story minimum. We don't have any story minimums to certify with Green Globes, but we do certify buildings that are 4 stories and higher. So it sounds like those are probably close together.
Can you rephrase that? You said you only do 4 stories or higher, or you do all stories?
Sorry, I said 4 stories. I meant 4 units. So 4 units or more.
Okay.
I'm
sorry. So
yes.
anything that's multifamily, 4 units, up, down, but not
yes.
single family attached, correct?
Right. Exactly. Yes. And then as far as project boundaries, we work with project teams for project boundaries, and I'll give you an example of that. We recently certified an MGM property in Vegas, and when talking to them about their sustainability goals, one of their frustrations was trying to get a certification for an entire building when the building type had 6 uses in it. It's a casino, it's a restaurant, it's a condo, it's a hotel, all of these different areas that in reality would be looked at more sustainably if they were looked at on their own. So we actually certified each space of that building. So We certified just the restaurant. We certified just the hotel. We certified just the condos. And that's how we determined the project boundary. So we don't have any set rules about project boundaries. And if you have an idea, bring it to us, because like I said, our ultimate goal is to incorporate more people into sustainability and get more third-party certifications into the marketplace. And so whatever that looks like, we are willing to have that sustainability conversation with you.
Yeah, I really like that aspect about that conversational piece and having people come to you with ideas and working with them. That's, you know, I really appreciate that, learning that about GBI. So here's a great question from Ed, and it kind of ties into something that I wanted to bring up too. You know, a lot of times green building programs have prerequisites, and some of those prerequisites can, you know, to be quite honest, just be an absolute barrier or headache. And, you know, but on the flip side, you know, there are times where you, and alluding to this question about mechanical ventilation, you might build a building so tight, for example, that at some point you're going to need that ventilation, whether it be exhaust only, supply, or balanced, ERVs or HRVs. So how, you know, I mean, if there are situations that do occur where, you know, like I think some of these prerequisites are meant to handle that, like if a building is built so tight you need ventilation. How does GBI look at that as far as, you know, either requirements, or is it still just open for options?
So it's open for options. We do have a kind of a guideline that we require mechanical ventilation, but that's only because we hadn't dual certified with like a passive house, for example. We just didn't have a lot of experience in it, and that's just a good guideline for people. But we did end up either working with or certifying, or we're in the midst of certifying someone that does not have mechanical ventilation. So again, it's not, our guidelines aren't meant to be barriers to entry. They're just based on the experiences that we've had in our 12 years of existence. And so it's really, if you are talking to the assessor and everything that you're doing is well thought out and within code, it's about the intent of the credit and what you are trying to achieve, and we want to support you in achieving that.
Mm-hmm. Great. So besides HUD and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, what other ways does Green Globe stand out as a preferred certification for affordable housing? Have you seen Green Globes tied into any of the low-income housing tax credits, QAPs on a state-by-state basis, or you know, connected in any other way directly to affordable housing?
So I don't have a list offhand of where Green Globes is outlined as being a partner in those affordable housing incentive programs that you mentioned. We are working on developing relationships across the country. There's so many, which is amazing. But what we do tell people is that we are very, very affordable. And so from that aspect, if you're going to have low-income housing, it makes a lot more sense to certify with a less expensive certification if the outcome is a certification only that you're looking for. And also that if you have a project and you are trying to achieve an incentive, we will do everything we can to communicate with the person who's offering that incentive. So if you're listening to this and you have this idea and you know that Green Globes is not included in a list, we'd love to hear about that. And we'd love to reach out to someone if you have a contact there, and we can prove equivalency. We've proved equivalency in the city of Portland, recently in the city of Chicago, like you mentioned with HUD, and Vegas. The state of Nevada offers a lot of incentives, which is why Vegas is certifying their casinos with us. And those all came from people who had buildings and needed a different solution. And we were able to reach out and create that change. So we accept your request, and we'll do everything we can.
Great, thanks. You know, speaking of of costs. Can you just give us some basic overviews? And I'm just throwing terms I'm used to, but maybe
Yeah.
some exist and some don't. But registration, certification fees, assessor fees. What kind of general costs do we see, especially for the residential side?
Yes. So our costs are very similar to the market leader. So it's based on square footage. So the price would depend on how large your space is. And then we have a $1,500 registration fee, to use the term you're familiar with. But that includes your assessor. So the way to get a price with us, because there are some little intricacies, we have everyone submit a quote request, and the process does not take as long as it sounds. You put in all your information into our website about the building that you want to certify, and then we can call you and get some details about where it is, the square footage, because if you're, in or out of the continental U.S., that'll make a difference. But by the time that you get a price from us, it is all inclusive. So it includes the assessor, it includes the travel, it includes access to that to the assessment checklist, and it includes an account manager. So there are no fees that you have to kind of include when you get a price from Green Globes.
Great, thanks. We still got plenty of time here for questions, so please put them in. I do have a few more here. I just wanted to recap to clarify the assessors are they're third party, and once a project is registered, they're assigned to the project. Is that correct?
Yes. So they are not employees of the Green Building Initiative, and most of them have other jobs. So a few of them are, lead consultants and Green Globes assessors. A few of them work still in the architect world or on project teams. So they're people who are active in the industry, and they have a wide breadth of experience with a lot of different building types. And we have currently 30-plus assessors, and we assign them as we deem appropriate for the project. So if you have a data center, or I guess a more relevant example, if you have a multifamily building, we're going to give you someone that has experience in that building type so that you'll find value in that relationship. So yes, they are third party, and we contract with them, and we choose them and assign them to those buildings.
So I know in when it comes to multifamily building, there's some programs that allow sampling, which can save fees, and perhaps that's a moot point here just because the fees seem to be the same. But are there any, do any of your assessors do or have it set up that they can do sampling on larger multifamily projects, or do every unit have to be inspected?
It's sampling. I don't think that our assessors walk through every single unit. It's just getting a slice of each type of unit and then all of the common areas.
Great. Well, I don't see any other questions at this point, so I think we can probably just wrap up early again, and then Shana, maybe you can just remind everybody where they can find out more information and get started if they want to learn more. Yeah,
I really want to thank everyone for listening. Sorry I talked a little fast, but hopefully you got all the information that you needed. And if you want more, or if you have any projects you want to talk about, you can contact us at info@thegbi.org. Our phone number is also on the screen, and then our website is www.thegbi.org. And almost every page has a request a quote or create an account at the bottom. And I would suggest kind of going through that and giving us your information if you want to start building a relationship and learn more about Green Globes and GBI. And we look forward to talking to you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Shana, for your time. Thanks to the Green Building Initiative for having you out. Take care, everybody. Have a good week.